Well, we are learning new details about former President Donald Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election. During yesterday's January 6th hearing, state officials and former election workers described how Trump and his allies pushed them to change votes and the series of threats they faced following the election. Our congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane reports.
In the chaotic days after the 2020 election, and weeks before the January 6th riot, Arizona's State House Speaker, Republican Rusty Bowers, testified he stood up to Trump and his legal team's repeated attempts to overturn the election results.
You are asking me to do something against my oath, and I will not break my oath.
Bowers says former Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani was relentless, claiming he had evidence of election fraud, but never producing any.
He said, "We've got lots of theories, we just don't have the evidence."
Bowers' resistance has come at an enormous personal cost to him and his family.
We have various groups come by, and they have had video panel trucks with videos of me proclaiming me to be a pedophile and a pervert.
The stories of harassment and pressure were echoed in Georgia.
Why wouldn't you want to find the right answer, Brad, instead of keep saying that the numbers are right?
Where Trump and his lawyers asked the state's officials to decertify their electors and investigate baseless claims of fraud.
We just followed the law and we followed the Constitution. And at the end of the day, President Trump came up short.
The committee also revealed text messages between a staffer to Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson and a top aide to then Vice President Mike Pence, suggesting the senator wanted to deliver a slate of fake electors to Pence on the Senate floor January 6th, but was told not to. A spokesperson for Johnson denied the claim.
Yeah, I was not involved in this at all.
Some of the most emotional testimony of the day came from Georgia election worker Shay Moss, who said she and her mother have experienced harassment after Trump falsely accused them of bringing in fake ballots.
I don't want to go anywhere. I second guess everything that I do. It's affecting my life in a major way, in every way, all because of lies. For me doing my job.
Her mother, Ruby Friedman, testified that there's nowhere they feel safe now.
Do you know how it feels to have the President of the United States to target you? The President of the United States is supposed to represent every American, not to target one.
So Scott MacFarlane is here to discuss with us. Geez, Scott, I don't know. I mean, yesterday's hearing was a doozy for me, and I think that part of the reason was we knew the kind of pressure that elected officials were under in Georgia, but then we learned new information. We learned about the threats of the physical threats, the threats to their life that they had to endure, and then we learned about, regular people. There you have Shay Moss and her mother who volunteered, were proud to be participating in the election process, and then found themselves in the crosshairs, being named by the President of the United States and enduring the same level of threats. And I kept on thinking, were they protected in any way? Do we know anything about the level of security that they may have received? And I also thought, with the testimony today, they might find themselves once again the target of threats. And are they being given any type of security?
The members of the January 6th committee have said this is an ongoing threat to local officials who stood up to Trump. Not a prior threat, not a piece of history, but an ongoing risk. And you see the pattern forming here. It's clear as day. Last week, this committee talked about the pressure campaign on Mike Pence, then the physical threat and the near-death experience he had here January 6th. Yesterday in this hearing, they described the pressure campaign on these local officials from Georgia and from Arizona that now has manifested itself on physical threats and death threats against these people. This is a deliberate argument and a deliberate pattern the committee is forming. As it makes its argument, they believe Donald Trump was part of a conspiracy to defraud the United States and gave rise through his words and actions to physical threats against people who defy him.
And, you know, it wasn't just the elected officials who defied him. There were those people that they had kind of taken on as basically fake electors. We heard some testimony from a couple of them who were under the impression that what they were doing was fine. No one told them that one campaign attorney after another were backing away from the plot. And had it been successful, it would have been highly illegal. And there seemed to be a complete disregard to, you know, what the fallout would be for those people. I'm wondering if at all, because these are people who supported President Trump. Have we heard from the president at all in response to this hearing yesterday?
And the president continues to argue what many House Republicans argue, that this committee is not properly authorized, not properly composed. The president, the former president, calls it the unselect January 6th committee. Republicans are critical that their choices for this committee were not allowed on the committee, that Speaker Nancy Pelosi selected all 9 members. That also, though, has deprived Republicans of the ability to counterpunch during these hearings, to give a dissenting or contrarian voice. So, as Americans watch, they get a very well choreographed, very well organized, speaking with one voice committee and their presentation. You mentioned that there's obviously a lot of discussion of the fake electors. I actually think some of that was overlooked yesterday due to the compelling emotional nature of the testimony from the elected officials. But these fake electors, this sounds cartoonish almost. It is radioactive to U.S. democracy. It could have been crippling, if not devastating, to U.S. democracy. I expect the committee to release more of what they found on fake electors in their final written report, which comes later this summer or early this fall.
So we know that the 5th hearing is going to be focusing on the pressure campaign that the Justice Department faced. But we also learned yesterday that the committee is going to be deposing a British documentary filmmaker. His name is Alex Holder, who had been filming a series surrounding the final weeks of Trump's re-election campaign in 2020. And as I understand it, he may have been in the room where some of these conversations were happening.
Alex Holder, in a social media post, promises that what he has recorded is never-before-seen images from here, January 6th, and exclusive interviews with the former president and the former president's children. Now, documentarians still trying to market his material using phrases like exclusive and never before seen, but that obviously whetted the appetite of the January 6th committee, which not only requested via subpoena his videos, but a deposition. That deposition will be given tomorrow, according to Alex Holder. Tomorrow, of course, is that 5th public hearing of the January 6th committee. Very busy day as they look into what they say is 11th hour interference by Donald Trump on the U.S. Justice Department. I'll note, Anne-Marie, one of the witnesses tomorrow is Jeffrey Rosen, the former acting U.S. Attorney General, somebody we haven't heard much from in the past 17 months. Could be pivotal.
Yeah, I agree. Scott, thank you very much.